Alright, good morning people of YouTube. So we're back again today with another deck profile. This is the deck that I've been working on after the Digimon Nationals. So that came and went, and I've spent most of my recent time playing Gabubond, and you know, after all the time that I've been playing that deck, it feels good to play something that is a little bit less degenerate. So this is going to be sort of a standard green list, but with the new additions of cards that we get in the EX collection, this deck actually had a massive boost. So even though a lot of the green cards that came out of the EX collection were pretty specific, some of the white cards that we got actually gave a tremendous boost in power to this deck. So we're going to go over some of those choices. And yeah, some of the choices for the list, and as always, hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and all that jazz, and let's go ahead and get into the profile. So starting off with the eggs, we got the 4 Pina and the 1 Argo. Pina's your most important egg. It's green's best draw power, really. And the logic behind Argo here is we aren't playing too many Digiburst effects, so the Budmon or the Yokomon aren't as valuable in this list as some other lists. And security thresholds are really low this format. So there are a lot of times that you will just swing in with Argomon. You don't really need the power buff. And you can unsuspend on your following turn and just gain that extra memory. So I do like this egg lineup. You are required to play 5 in this list because it is green. And you do play Analog Youth and Mimi. So those are going to be the eggs. On to the level 3s. We do play a lot of them, again, because we play Analog Youth and Mimi, and because green typically plays more level 3s than other decks. But because of that, we get to play kind of the Rookie Rush game a little bit better than some of the other decks do. So we got 4 copies of Terriermon, 5 2-drop Vanillas, and then I have a Palmon engine. So I have 1 of the promo Palmon, I have 3 copies of the starter deck Palmon, and 2 copies of the Bt6 Palmon. So, all in all, we're playing 15 rookies. And what this allows us to do is, like, Terriermon is just overall the best one right now, because this card is going to shut out the Bond matchup. It's going to shut out Lilithmon, which is surprisingly popular right now because of how it's been doing at Nats. But yeah, Terriermon is just an overall great card, and we're playing 4 because if you can get 2 of them on the board against Bond, along with like the horse, then they just can't win. They will never beat you in that game because they can only swing once with the Bond, bottom deck 1 of the Terriermons, and then they still can't shotgun all their Lobos. So the 2-cost Vanillas provide tremendous value whenever you're going on the aggressive, and it gives you more cards to play and then download. But the Palmon engine, I think, is kind of what is really cool with the level 3 lineup. So, this Palmon makes you bigger whenever you attack a Digimon, and when you Digiburst this one away, you gain jamming. So you typically don't have a lot of Digiburst effects in this deck, but because of the Bt6 Palmon, you can always put the promo underneath the Digiburst card that you're going to be using if you get one off. Or if you have a card that just needs a boost to get over something, you can ram this guy into security and then throw one of these Palmons underneath one of your Digimon. Or you can use this card to make it so that you have all of the Digiburst sources you need to get a viable Nidhogg stack off. So I do absolutely love this Palmon engine, and the fact that this card can recur not just itself, but these effects make your cards just have more versatility in the mid to late game. So that is our rookies, and again, we can just rookie rush the board a lot with all of these cards as well. So going on to the level 4s, we got 3 copies of Vegemon. This card is just always going to be good. The 4-cost to hard play is great this format. The 1-cost to Evo is always going to be good. And the 6,000 DP this format makes sure that it's living security checks quite often. So Vegemon is kind of a staple for green. We got 3 copies of the blocker Kabuterimon. Again, just for the 1-cost Evo here. 5,000 blockers aren't especially great this format because Jessmon is running around and just popping all these with Bauhuckmon. So we are playing 2 copies of Woodmon as well. And this is a cheaper hard play cost if you ever just don't open a rookie, but you open one of these. But the odds of opening a rookie are pretty high. But there are still times that you just want to hard play wood and hard play veggie, so it does happen. Moving right along with the level 4s, we got 3 copies of Arbor and 1 copy of Paladins. So these hybrids give us massive advantage whenever we're going to close out games, or whenever we've burned ourselves out of all of our eggs because we mimied one too many times. And this allows you to turn your mimis into bodies. It allows you to surprise your opponent out of nowhere. You know, Lobo or a Goonie for game are big things in red and blue decks, and this deck can do it as well. Paladins is an amazing card, actually. It's probably not going to get as much value in future sets past Bt6. But for right now, we're in a format where a lot of rookies are just being played and you're swinging with them. And you have cards like Lilamon in this deck that can suspend those cards, sure. But if something hits like a Mimi or an Analog Youth and Security and lives, then you can just play this card and swing over it and get your free security check in. Or if your opponent gets greedy and swings with a level 5, like let's say they're playing purple and they swing with a Big Lady Devimon at 8,000. Well, you can use this Palmon to get this Palmon underneath this Paladins and swing over that Lady Devimon as a 9,000 body with piercing. So Paladins is just one of the more aggressive cards in our level 4 lineup, you know, along with the veggie. And it just makes it so that you can just swing without fear a lot of the times and just get value off of it. So I do want to increase the number of this card that I am playing, but the level 4 lineup seems really tight, and I do really like all the cards in here, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to do. Going on to the level 5s, we got 3 copies of Lila. This is the best level 5 in the deck. Both its main effect and its inheritable effect are really good, so we're playing 3 of it. I'm playing 3 downloaders, one of them being Argomon. The other 2 are Blasso, obviously. Downloaders will always be something that provide amazing value to green, and it green exclusively, so we do play 3 here. I'm not playing 4 because I did want to play 2 copies of Cherrymon as well. Cherrymon is good this format, and I guess something notable here is the only cards in your level 5 lineup that are dying to Jawalt Schwarmer are the Blossomons, because all of these are 8 cost to hard play. But having a blocker that is a level 5 might not sound like a good thing this format just because it gets bottom decked by cards like, you know, Bond of Friendship. But having extra blockers in the deck is really, really good for a lot of matchups this format. Plus, having a 2 cost to Evo is always fun. So, I do like the Cherrymon inclusion here. And, yeah, no, playing 7 blockers in green always feels good, especially whenever you're playing the big horse itself. So, those are my level 5s. Moving right along to the level 6s. I got a single copy of Nidhogg, 3 copies of the big horse, ancienttroymon, and 2 copies of megagargomon. So, we'll start off with Nidhogg. Nidhogg is a great card and probably one of the best level 6s green is ever going to have. And you always pretty much have to play some capacity of it, unless you're going for some really weird version of green. But in this format particularly, bodies don't stick on the board. So Nidhogg feels like it is less valuable in this list than in previous iterations of a deck like this. But moving into, you know, Bt7, Bt8, stuff like that, that might change. But for right now in the Bt6 and EX meta, I feel like 1 Nidhogg is the play. At least with this style of deck. Next going on, we have the 3 copies of ancienttroymon. This card will just auto-win against the Bond matchup. As long as they don't, like, Rattlestar it away, you're good, and you're just winning that game. And they can't get around this. They can swing over it, sure, but you resuspend them whenever they stand back up, and that's the only swing that they're getting. And that always feels really good whenever they trash 2 of their security, just to get rid of a horse. So, plus it's a body that replaces itself when it dies, and then you can just evolve right again into another level 5, like maybe download it into a Blosso on your next turn, and then slap another horse down on top of it. Ancient Troymon is just a really, really good card, and I honestly think this should have been the SR in the set instead of EOSmon level 6, but that is my hot take for the day. Now, going on to the last level 6 in the list, we got 2 copies of megagargomon. So, this card in previous formats was just bad, because it was 4 costs to evolve into, which is expensive. It's 11,000 DP, which is low, but its effects are amazing. The extra security attack if they have something suspended is great, and the fact that you can stun something for not just the next turn, but keep it suspended, like, that's insane. But, you know, the 4 cost to evolve into and the 11,000 DP made people not want to play this. But now we have this card, win rate 60%, and you can go into megagargomon for free, get amazing value off of its effect, you know, maybe swing in for 2 security off of this, evolve it into a Chaosmon maybe, swing over something else, and you are giving yourself control, you're giving yourself aggression, and with the win rate, this becomes free, so that's just amazing all around. This is one of the better level 6s that you can be playing in a deck like this. And, you know, I guess something to note here is that this is the only free level 6 in the deck with win rate. The other two, the Nidhogg and the Ancient Troy, you actually have to pay 1 memory after the win rate to go into, because win rate only reduces it by 4. But we'll go into that next, I guess. The last level, or the last Digimon in the deck is the single copy of Chaosmon. It provides some control, it provides some aggression. It's just a really good card, and it's something that Green is always going to consider when deck building. It's just I didn't have space for more than 1. This is a card I would very much like to go up to 2 on, but as I was saying, bodies don't really stick on the board that often in this format, so having a level 7 that is essentially spot removal when you evolve into it doesn't really feel good in some matchups, so I have been fine with 1. Now the options. We got 1 HPD and 2 win rate, but honestly, this card feels a lot like HPD. Like, this feels like an iteration of Green back when we had, you know, 4 copies of HPD accessible to us. The only thing is Sarasmon was much more broken at the time, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. But win rate is one of those cards that you're discarding a card to evolve into something for a reduced cost of 4, which in this deck will make the Mega Gargo free. You know, you can pay 2 for this and then go into Chaos for another 2 and pass turn that way super cheap. And HPD is basically the same thing, but instead of discarding a card and paying the 2 memory, you know, you tap the body instead. So oftentimes you're playing the 2 cost vanilla, either that turn or at some point earlier in the game, and then using that as the body that you're tapping for the HPD. So it honestly feels like this card costs 2 in some situations as well. So these cards are just very, very similar. They do very similar things. And we have experienced how good HPD is for a very long time, so this card just feels like a natural inclusion in the deck, in my opinion. And then closing out the deck, we have the Tamers. We got the 3 copies of the Mimi and 2 copies of Analog Youth. So Green's biggest weakness is the fact that it needs to see big evolution lines. You need to draw your levels, and you need to make sure that you're hitting your chains, right? Analog Youth is a card that adds tremendous consistency to any deck like that. So naturally, we would play it here. But the thing is Analog Youth is a little bit better in a deck like this than some other decks, because we can freely manipulate our raising area thanks to Mimi. So you can always control if you have an egg in the breeding area or not, especially if you have multiple Mimis in play, and you can make it so that way you can swing in with your level 5 when you don't have something in the breeding area. If it dies, then you can tap the Analog Youth, get the memory, hatch the egg, build it back up, and then if you have another level 5 in the battle area, you can Mimi it back out. Or let's say, you know, you did some other combo, but the bottom line is these two cards work very, very well together. Not only that, this deck really kind of needs to be set at 3, so you kind of have to play some Memory Tamer. And this deck needs a little bit more consistency, and the Analog Youth gives it that. So that's about all I got to say on the deck. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I know this has been a little bit longer of a deck profile than normal, but this is a slightly weird variant of a color that nobody is really playing right now. So hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.